He made sure the whole cabinet knew just how utterly useless and worthless the 4 years they were in office were. There was no point to the presidency. Joe Biden didn't fulfill any of his goals. He didn't do anything for the economy, for the society. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Triple T, and I'm your host, Fiona. Now today we'll be delving into Trump's inauguration, his speech, the fashion, but I think we'll have to split this into different segments. But thank you once again for joining me, and without further ado, I want to jump right into it. First of all, I want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not a Trump's fan. I'm not, but there is an unmistakable perspective he's bringing into 2025 America, and that's what I want to be delving into today. Now, I'll be starting with some key moments from his speech which I found really fascinating, which I found really iconic. First of all, I'll be starting from the fact that we have to recognize the fact that Trump is a very bold, a very, very assertive leader. He destroyed Joe Biden's presidency, his 4 years in office, to his face. Within a few minutes, he started his speech. He made sure the whole cabinet knew just how utterly useless and worthless the 4 years they were in office were. There was no point to the presidency. Joe Biden didn't fulfill any of his goals. He didn't do anything for the economy, for the society. If anything, America recorded the most egregious times in the history of the United States. And Trump, even though Joe Biden was right there behind him, he made sure to point that out immediately, and I appreciated that about him. I appreciated that about that moment. Here's a look of that segment of his speech.
A radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
I just thought it was a boss move. I thought it was really a boss move. Trump, of course, did not stop there. He immediately went into detailing just how the insanity of wokeness and the foolishness of it is ravaging the American society. And immediately was like, it's time to put a stop to this foolishness. It's time to put a stop to this uncanniness, just unruliness. He called it out to their faces and was like, there is going to be an end. This is an end to wokeism. And literally in his words, he says, it's time for common sense. Here, take a look.
Today I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
From the woke nonsense to racial baiting, Trump says it's time to put all of that foolishness aside, and that he hopes to cure the average American of this prevailing nonsense about wokeism. Thereby, Trump becomes the face of the end of wokeism in the American society, which I believe is truly going to be something to look forward to. Trump doubles down on issues that have affected children in schools, women in the places of work, men on the street, in sport. And he goes, it's okay if in the morning of a beautiful Wednesday, you decide you want to be a goat. And as soon as lunch comes around, you're sure you're relating more to a hen. And by the time sun goes down, you are absolutely certain You're the whole livestock farm itself now. So long as all of these choices of yours, all of this fluidity or whatever it's called does not affect me, live your life the way you want to live it. But the minute it starts to infringe on my personal right, the minute it starts to infringe on my personal person, then we have a problem. The need for a halt to be called. And that is what he's doing. It goes out to say that from now on, the American society recognizes only the male and the female gender. In his own words, this is Trump.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
This is an issue the Democrats refused to curtail, I feel. Immigration being one of it, and this prevailing DI, diversity, equity, and inclusion that has become the order of the day. If you're conversant with what's going on also with Meta, Facebook, they're beginning to see Meta, Instagram, Twitter, they're beginning to see that this wokeism, this diversity, equity, and inclusion, it does not bring much to the table. If anything, it causes only more confusion. And because of that, they've been able to decide that in this Trump's regime, they'll be following whatever he says. They'll be following whatever laws he puts down. And that is why Meta is now canceling censorship, reducing fact-checking, and all of that. You should be free. America stands for the First Amendment. America stands for free speech. I should not be afraid that I'd lose my job if I come to say women, or the simple definition of a woman is an adult biological female. I shouldn't be afraid that I would lose my job for that. I shouldn't be afraid to take up for my child and say I do not want my child sharing bathrooms with other kids of whatever gender. I should not be afraid to say I want my child's privacy protected and respected. These are situations that have really eaten deep into the fabric of the American society, and I think whether you like it or not, it's one of the reasons why Trump won, because Trump is the only politician who was really listening to the people, who saw that this thing had gotten to the neck. It had gotten to a stage where the average American was fed up. The average American was done with the woke BS. They were done with the way Biden was just succumbing, was just never saying no to nothing. In an attempt to please everybody, you lose everyone. That's what I feel the Biden administration did not understand. You cannot just allow everything. You cannot just say everything goes. In an attempt to please everybody, you indefinitely lose everyone. Unfortunately, Joe Biden left office as the worst president ever in the history of or the second worst president ever in the history of Africa, in the history of America, in the history of America. It goes to show you that when you don't put your foot down on certain things, when you don't know how to set boundaries, when you don't know that there is a need to listen to the masses you're supposed to govern and lead aright, you indefinitely lose them. Trump is not the most liked politician. He's not. I myself, at the beginning of this video, stated that clearly. I'm not a fan. But now, he's able to bring so much people to the table. He says it in his speech. It's like, I'm for unity. Joe Biden thought succumbing to every ideology, by succumbing to every whims of the people, that would unify the people. No, you can't say it's a certain group of people whose but existence whose right infringes on a larger group of people who accepting whatever the bring would bring people to the table. No, that cannot work, unfortunately. Unfortunately, Trump is able to achieve this by saying the minute your rights, your what your entitlement, what you should be entitled to in the community begins to infringe on other people's life, then there is an issue. You can't say grown men suddenly decide they're women and join the women's sport and annihilate this women in their own sport and decide that is okay. You cannot say that. You cannot say that. In your effort to bring inclusion, you exclude some people. In an effort to bring in unification and diversity, you ultimately edge out some other group of people who unfortunately are the real owners of the group in the first place. I think Trump was able to understand this deeply. I think he was able to sit down and kind of do a deep dive of what's really going on in the society of America of today, and was able to see that the average American is not happy about all these changes, all this wokeism, all this nonsense and foolishness. And there was a need for change. There is a need for change, and I think he's bringing that to the table, which I think ultimately made Trump win. Anyways, this is just a food for thought. I appreciate you guys being here. Join me in my next video. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much. Join me in the next segment of the show, where I'll be diving into the fashion of the inauguration, the fashion the decisions of most of the attendees.